Good morning, everybody. David, I'm a TI, and I'm here with Sunshine. She's a TI, and she wants to come tell her story on this platform and get the word out about what's going on. And it seems like a never-ending struggle with this thing. Everybody's got similar stories, and that's why I'm trying to get all these interviews, is because different people can relate to different stories, and it might save somebody from doing something to themselves, or it might expose this program if we get enough people and people start waking up. So anyway, my first question is, what was your life like before targeting, and what's it like now?
Well, I lived a pretty normal life. Um, Before I was targeted, I was um, married for 20 years. I have 3 children, lived a normal life, worked for the government for 20 plus years. And then it all changed in 2019. I was going through an ugly divorce and weird things started happening. Come to find out, I am a targeted individual. So that's
Would you would you say you was an outgoing person?
I was a very outgoing person. I would definitely label myself as a social butterfly, going out,
And
having
now you're
fun,
now you're pretty much a
karaoke,
loner.
traveling. Now I'm 100% isolated up in the mountains. Don't go out, don't do things like that no more. It's too risky and honestly, I don't want to end up in jail,
Yeah.
you
See, I know,
know.
I know the feeling, and countless other targets do too. Um, and it blows my mind how all these interviews, and I used to tell my parents, like, look at it, look at YouTube, all these people saying they're targeted, and you don't believe none of it. Oh, I don't even want to see. They don't even want to hear it, and it's sad. Um,
Let me just share something that in my years of working for government, I used to be a housing case manager. After I left the courthouse, I went into housing case manager. And I used to hear, and I also worked the mental health court in the courthouse. So I would always hear these individuals saying, oh, the government's following me. And I was like, I definitely didn't make fun of them, but I thought, okay, they're kind of out there. And all these years later, I get exactly what they're saying. And you have to think about it from the inmates I would have in custody to the courthouse to the women and children that I would have in the shelter all had the same story. There's no way all these people could share the same experiences. It's not
right.
schizophrenia. It's targeting. And I'm well aware now because I am a true TI.
Hmm. So do you think your targeting might have been from you working for the government? Maybe you upset somebody really, really bad, rubbed them the wrong way. You think it could have been that?
I'm starting to believe so. I'll tell you, up until very, very recently, I believed that it was my what I call my short-term ex-husband. I was married for 20 years prior, and then I was with this other gentleman for 10 years. And I thought it was him, but thinking back, when I left the courthouse, I left with a huge falling out with the judge I worked for. I was a trial court administrator, and I worked for a monster of a lady. And one day I had enough and I left and I started just exposing, the way she was. And I fought the law and the law won. So I'm starting to think that possibly it's the judge I worked for that got me put on this list. Still uncertain if it could very well have been my ex-husband, because that's where everything started when we moved into this community called Lee Acres in New Mexico. Life changed drastically from 2019 for me. It
Yeah. And I've
drastically.
talked to countless targets who are targeted after, they sued their job. Like, I sued my job for workplace bullying, and Ann Casper blew the whistle on Merrill Lynch. So I really think a lot of these employers, or if you sue the wrong person, or a lot of these employers, when they workplace bully you, if you speak out and try to do anything, you get targeted, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Corporations and stuff.
I tried suing for workplace harassment, and I mean I got shut down quick. And so it is in the back of my head that possibly the judge I worked for did this to me. And this is a very recent belief that I've been coming to because it was just such a drastic change. I mean,
Did you go
life
through
changing.
smear campaigns?
See, I don't know what's been said about me. This is what's weird. People that I used to talk to just kind of quit talking to me. And then, of course, when I was with my ex-husband, he isolated me from a lot of my friends as well. So that was already starting. I was losing friends due to the man I was with. You know, very
So he could,
jealous.
they could have put him in your life to help isolate you. Because
I'm truly believing that.
because when I
Truly
got with
believe.
my ex, I should have seen signs. We went to church, and then she's like, we get back from church, we just got married. Oh no, you can't go to church no more, or we're not going to be together. I've seen all them people looking. So I'm like, wow. And then she just, she didn't want to go to my families, never, but we had to go to her families, you see. So yeah, I
Yeah.
can see it may have been, you never know. They want to isolate you regardless of what happens. But so do you, so like now, I've never met a target. Well, I've met one target who knew what they were saying about him as far as smear campaigns. But somebody is spreading something because friends you've dealt with for years just walk away and avoid you like the plague.
Just are different and don't, it's always, yeah, we'll get together sometime, and then we never do. And then also it's me too. I mean, I trust no one. As a target, you can't trust no one. I don't even know if some of the targets I've been affiliating with are targets or perps. It's impossible to really, really know.
It
It's a
really
chance
is.
that I'm taking just because it's so important for me to get the word out there. It is so important for me to let other TIs know that no, you're not schizophrenic. You're not all these things they're saying you are, and definitely don't kill yourself because these people are trying to, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that word, but definitely don't take it upon yourself to see your own demise. Just
Right.
it's I believe that we're going to prevail in the end. I just have to have hope that this is coming out more and more, and people are starting to realize this. There's too many people out here saying the same thing, going through the same thing to be schizophrenic. And I've had my run of in and out of the mental hospitals before I realized don't do that no more.
Right.
I was in a mental hospital in Texas. This is when I first truly thought I was going crazy. My daughter had me committed. And I had an individual walk up to me in the mental ward and say, which one's the target? He didn't know I was the target,
Wow.
but he walked right up to me and goes, which one's the target? Kind of low voice. And that's where it all came full force. I'm the target.
Yeah, that
That,
would have freaked me out for sure.
yep.
Uh, they threw me in a mental hospital in Dallas it was. They pulled up on me and they said, "Well, you look dehydrated. We're going to take you to the hospital." So they promised me I can leave the hospital after I get my IV full of fluids or whatever. So I get the
Mm-hmm.
IV full of fluids, and I said, "Can I go now?" They said, "Yeah, and just let us take the needle out." And they took the IV out. Next thing you know, two cops come in and rush me and put one needle in each thigh. This nurse does, and I fall out and wake up in the mental hospital. Well, I didn't. I stayed there 3 days, didn't see a doctor, nothing. After 3 days, they said, "We got you a cab downtown, and here's your paperwork." And it said schizophrenia on it. I didn't talk to nobody, get medicine or
Yeah.
nothing the whole 3 days I was there.
Yeah. That happened to me in Houston. Exactly. They took me down. They beat me up in the emergency room. It they're all in on it, cops, doctors. I learned very quickly to get off the medication, not to go to the hospitals, and to just take care of myself the best that I am now. But I think that's my biggest thing I want to get out there to the TIs out there. You're not crazy. You're not. It the whole game, you're the game. You got to play the game back.
Yeah.
You got to play the game back.
And that's one of the motivators for me starting this channel. Because if I'd have seen my channel when I first started going through this, I wouldn't have had 3 serious attempts on my life. I thought I was going
Yep.
crazy.
Yep. And all I did was started researching why would what people following me, because that's where I started noticing um, big SUVs following me, government SUVs following me. And I'm not talking just following me from just within my town that I lived in. I got spooked and I took off up to North Dakota where I have some land up there. And I said, I'll just get away from Albuquerque. Hell no, they followed me to North Dakota. They followed me in their SUVs. They run helicopters over where I'm at. I could be in the middle of nowhere and a vehicle will all of a sudden show up. It'll be either a big white truck, black big Suburban, or small red vehicles. Always with one headlight, always with the beaming. The older vehicles have one headlight. The newer vehicles have those beaming lights at you. And I started noticing as some of them would pass me, I don't know the proper word for it, but I say they would ping me. And I could feel like shots to the side of my neck when I'd be driving and make like almost like if you're having a spasm.
Yeah.
And you could see my skin quiver, and it would just like if you got shocked on the side of your ear or something. Did they do not cool stuff to you?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then people's like, oh, well, it's just different cars. Well, yeah, anybody can look at the tag, write the tag down, and see the same car with the same tag number is following you everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah. And they all, if you notice, a lot of them, they have their license plates will revert to like 24/7.
Yeah.
A lot of them are, they'll have the numbers 24/7 in them, or just weird. They're weird people. They're
Yeah.
demonic, you know?
One of them cut Holly off and made sure that she saw the license plates that said morgue on it. Morgue, MORGUE. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I believe it. They so I live right off I-40 interstate. So I got to be on the interstate to get to the next town to get supplies. The minute I leave my the minute I leave my property, unfortunately my community jumped in. I don't know what smear campaign they told my community, but it had to be something bad because it's a nice little quiet community I live in. Except when I leave my house, they all pull out and follow me out the white trucks. Another thing I noticed when I moved here, when I was still living in my tent, I was living in a tent for 3 months because I didn't have the means to purchase the property and a camper to live in, which I have now. But I noticed all of a sudden on all four corners around me, bright pole lights were put up that weren't there before, that can just, you know, monitor me. I believe that's what they do. They put these big bright lights in that do some sort of beaming attacks to me as well. And
Right.
unless you're a targeted individual, you can't understand it. You can't comprehend. You know, I started doing my own YouTube channel with showing how they follow me, how the vehicles follow me, how the color coordination goes, how they wait on the overpasses for me to pass, then take off, honk at me when I leave the stores. And then I started to realize I just started making myself look even crazier to my family members and people that know me, because only a targeted individual would relate and really catch on to what my videos mean.
Yeah, I
You
said
know,
that last night in the interview. That's why I really don't post. I got a few videos of evidence, but unless it's 100% sure and people can say, oh, there's no sense in putting it up there because all you're going to get is trolls making fun of you and all that. It's not
yeah,
even worth it. Only a target can realize what's going on.
I felt that way too. And then I continued doing them for the targets so that they can, for the newer targets that are still not sure what's going on with them,
Right.
to see this is their pattern and just ignore them. I mean, because it's stupid.
Is your channel still up?
Yeah, it's TI Sunshine Off Grid
Okay.
on YouTube. And
And I can put that link to your channel in the description if you'd like.
yeah, sure, definitely, because I know there's just a lot of us out there that are seeking comfort, um, confirmation, advice. There's a lot of us out there that just got to stick together and weed out the perps the best we can.
Do you get hit with direct energy weapons?
Yeah, I believe that's what's going on with my eye. So
Are they making it
any
twitch or?
they may it starts twitching, and then it just starts tearing down like the watery stuff. And after a while, if when I look closely up at the mirror, as I go to wipe the water that's coming out of my eye, it's like glittery, which I've come to find out it's not glitter, it's metal, like shavings of whatever they're energy attack is. I don't know how it all works. I'm still learning all that, but they do pretty pretty mean things to my body.
Yeah, I got dry, itchy eyes right here in this eye constantly. It's dry and I itch it and itch it and itch. As a matter of fact, I got a little callus on the inside of my eye from rubbing it so much. So I don't know
And that
what correlation or how it affects your eyes, but I know it definitely does. And
I
Holly
know that
Holly went through a period where they were making her eyes twitch uncontrollably too, remember?
Well, directed energy weapons cause severe cataracts, and most people go blind, well, like I did with directed energy weapons. It causes
they've done that. They have attacked me so bad some days, and it's often when I'm driving, and I don't see good at night, so I'm very seldom will I drive at night. But even just driving in general, they'll start messing with my eyes so bad that my vision gets so blurred. And like now I went back home for a funeral, which is only 2 hours from where I live. But my ride home was tough, because I had blurred vision the whole way, where I was seeing like through like if I had this thick piece of plastic, just that blurred vision. Luckily it's straight, I-40 all the way, but it's annoying and it's dangerous because you're barely can see.
Yeah, and they want
And
you to
then you
wreck.
have big rigs running you off the road, cutting you off. You have the whole boxed in. Um, there's another guy I follow on YouTube, Unaverage Joe, and he posted about the FBI box tactic, how they box you
Yeah.
in on the freeway. And I started looking at the way they do their color coordination and boxing in, and sure enough, they have their little program down. But only again, targets could see that.
So have you lived in a heavily populated area, targeted?
Um, as far as I know, New Mexico is pretty bad for targeting. I
No,
think
I'm
the
saying,
war,
have you lived in you live in a kind of a rural area now, but did you live in a more populated area at one time when you were targeted?
yeah, it all started in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Because I was going to ask you, do you find it more peaceful where you're at now and less aggressive, or
For
would
sure.
you say where you used to live, where it was more populated, it was less aggressive?
You know, it's not too big of a difference when I leave my home, but I do have a little bit more peacefulness in the rural area versus, because it's my community don't care that it's clear to me that they don't care that I know that they know that they're stalking me. So
Right.
they don't bother me when I step outside and they honk the horns and the roosters crow, it's just their theatricals to me. When I was in Albuquerque, though, they drive up and down the streets at night. It was more obvious. Um, it wasn't as obvious. I mean, they could commute around me a lot easier because it was a busier area.
All right.
Here where I live now, it's you're not gonna get the loud cars that would go outside my bedroom window and rev the engines, and just those super loud vehicles. You can't really do that where I live here without this community probably complaining, unless it's them doing it. But it's pretty quiet where I'm at. As
And
far as the mobbing me when I go into town, it's the same.
yeah. So as soon as you get into town, you start getting mobbed.
Yeah, and it's even worse because the town that I need to go into to get supplies it's an indigent town. A lot of Native Americans who struggle with alcoholism. So you know how these gang stalkers work. The whole thing is to irritate you, to frustrate you, to do petty things to just get under your skin. So I'm going into Walmart, and here I have, what the gang stalkers do is I believe they go and buy the Native Americans out here that follow me, the workers for
Alcohol.
they go and buy them vodka, because we're talking people that have to travel 100 miles to buy a bottle of vodka because it's illegal on the reservations. So I believe what they're doing is they're buying them their alcohol, giving them their phones, and telling, all they have to do is go by me and point the phone at me, let me know that they're taking my picture, whatever it is that they're doing. And it's frustrating to me because these people don't know what they're doing. They're being taken advantage of, and they're harming me, or being set to harm someone, and I don't think that they're aware of it. So they're not only are us targeted individuals victims, but a lot of indigent people around us are being used to victimize us and not
Yep.
even know. And then you got your high rolling ones who, you know, give the orders that I don't know what's wrong with these people. I really don't. But
Have you ever experienced V2K?
yeah, so what the type that I hear is they'll mimic what I'm doing. So like this morning, I mean, this is an all day thing. I get up and I can hear them. She's going to make her coffee. You know, just saying what I'm doing. That, that's the most of what they do. It's like I can hear them saying what I'm doing,
Yeah,
and it's
trying to get
always
on
the
your
pretty much the
nerves.
same lady, same male. Yeah, just to let me know that they're here, you know. And
Yeah, I was
when I came
cleaning
back,
this morning and they kept saying, you missed a spot, you missed a spot.
yeah, it's just so when I came back from Albuquerque this past week, I came in and they come in my house. You could lock it up. I was gone for a whole week, and when I got in, I opened my camper, came in, my house was pure propane smell, and all three knobs on my stove were slightly turned on.
Wow.
So
Good thing you
so
didn't
I
light a
had
cigarette or something.
right, and I and I think it's because they know, you know, the first thing I do when I get home is smoke a bowl, because that's how I calm my nerves, and that's what I do. Sorry
Yeah,
to anyone who doesn't believe in cannabis, but that's what works for me.
right.
But so before doing that, I had to open all, and you saw, I showed you before we started, it's snowing out here, so it's already kind of cold. I had to open all my windows, let the propane go out, go around checking my things around here. But those are just the petty things they do to let you know that I'm here. Not only
Do
do
you,
they start the propane so I could light it, but it's expensive. It's a
right. Do you
cost
have
for
any
me.
cameras at all?
I I've had multiple cameras, but I can guarantee every time I go to turn them on, they'll be either fuzzy, or it'll be SD card error, or it'll just, you can hear mumbling around, but it'll be a blacked out screen.
Right.
So they definitely have ways to shut down your cameras,
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know. So I have spent a lot of money on cameras. It just doesn't work for me,
Right.
you know. Some people, I'm surprised the few videos I've made of them following me have stayed up and posted. But I think it's, again, because only targeted individuals would know what's going on, and the gang stalker's mentality is she's just making herself look more crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, that's why, that's really, people's like, well, um, how do they let your YouTube channel stay up? Well, they don't care. The grid's already set. All we do is look crazy talking about it. They already got the grid set. So it's too late to do anything about it besides hopefully hoping it gets shut down somehow, improving it. Other than that, the HARP, wind tires, they got the whole earth blanketed with radiation
Hmm.
and
Yep.
weapons.
And again, I was gonna take down my YouTube because I thought, you know, I don't want to just be looking crazy. But if my videos can help that one person who's early on in their targeting understand that this is how it works, you know, to help them cope and just learn to ignore them. Because I'll tell you what, 5 years ago when it first started happening, I was that crazy girl getting out, punching the windows, you know, quit following me. What's your problem? Getting violent, till I realized, oh, I'm playing the game and they're winning by my
Yeah.
reaction. You know, they win for every reaction you give.
And you're right, it does help people for people making, because when I first found out about targeting, I used to watch people's videos and I would feel comfort knowing, I wouldn't wish it on them, but they're going through it, and I'm like, man, I'm not the only one. Because for years I thought, well, they've done made me lose my mind. I was convinced
Yeah.
I was crazy.
Oh, me too. Me too. I mean, you should see all the medication I was on, and they still to this day they mess with me the most when I have my grandchildren. I have two granddaughters, and of course I'm extremely protective of them. And when I'm with them, I believe they have, with their little mental control, they'll use my granddaughters to do funny things around me that only a perp would do. But my grandchildren, they're, you know, 15 and 10. They don't realize that what they're doing is bothering me.
Right.
But it's this thing is bigger than uh, anyone could imagine. I started getting really into the targeted justice, that lawsuit thing, and into their page. And then I'm kind of having second guesses with that because I'm seeing a lot of things on that page are about buying their devices to help you with the V2K. And if you're a true targeted individual, for one, you've been robbed of all your money. You don't got money to buy no $1,000 machine.
Right.
So I'm on the fence with
And
that
if I
right
was
now.
a TI and I invented a machine, I would try to give it out for free, you know? I mean, I know you got
Absolutely.
cost, you gotta build it, but you know, it don't cost $300 or $400 to build what they're
Yes.
advertising,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, and I really wanted to attend because I'm not far from Colorado. I wanted to attend that rally they had up there in Colorado, but I've learned to follow my gut feeling, and something has really just pulled me away from that portion of it.
I'm the
And
same way, so you know,
are you?
I'm not you know, I don't really voice my opinion on here because I don't know for sure, so I don't voice my opinion on this platform. So I just leave it alone altogether, that subject. But yeah, you know, I've just seen too many problems. I just seen too much stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I want to
Mm.
jump on the lawsuit. I want to be listed on there for compensation if this gets exposed for
Well, they
real.
only got certain people that's listed on there.
Right. So you're not really, and then I heard that because someone was saying like, well, if your name's on the list, you got to stay with that one platform and stick with them because they're going to pull you through it. But then I started like, I don't have money to pay $30 a month to stay on this platform and be part of this lawsuit, you know? So I'm just kind of weaning it still and hoping for the best. And I pray someday that we can
Right.
justice will be served on our end and we will be compensated for them destroying our lives because I had a good life. I lived a happy life. I was a functioning adult, which I am now, but I'm an isolated by force functioning adult, forced
Yeah.
to be in
And it's
isolation because I don't want my family harmed by this.
And that
I
seems like one thing that's familiar in every story that I hear. And in my story, you know, I was the life of the party, very outgoing, had a bunch of friends, everybody liked me, and then all of
oh yeah, I'm a sunshine,
a sudden
you
one
know.
day,
Another thing is
bam,
because
now I'm a loner. I haven't
I've
left this
lost my
house in two
hair.
years.
This is another thing that happened to me in 2019. I used to have really long hair. I didn't look the way I look now for sure. And so I've come to realize who your friends are. When I lost my hair, it was like, wow, did that really define who I was? But I believe it was part of the targeting program because they want to see you with nothing. They want to see you ugly and beat down and scared. I'm not scared. Just to get that out there. I'm not scared anymore. I was. They had me in my tent living here just scared as could be. But now I'm not scared and I will fight back. Just because I'm isolated and I live the way I do. I do it for my safety and the safety of my family because I don't want
Right.
them having a and it's hard on our family members who want to believe us, but it's so far-fetched what we're going through that it is hard for our families to understand. They're going through it too, the ones that aren't involved in it. You got to weed that out too.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of your family members jumped on board and went against you, but it
Oh
happens.
yeah. Yeah. My
Yeah.
mother especially. And
Well,
and that hurt bad. Another thing, you know, I I hate seeing, you know, a lot of targets getting that doomed after the initial shock stage and they went through all this stuff and you know, they get in that attitude, that defeated attitude. Well, I'm not even going to try to meet people because it'll all be set up. That's not true. There's glitches in the matrix. It's not perfect. This thing ain't
yeah.
perfect because, you know, I met Holly. That wasn't, you know, that I would have, if you'd have
And you
told
guys
me,
are
yeah,
that's awesome that you guys are that you have someone who's a TI. Granted, it's horrible that each of you are a TI, but at least you have one another to
but I
and it,
almost, you know, when we're reaching out and all that, I almost just backed off and said, you know what, it's all set up. Everything's been set up in my life. So I try to tell people that story, you know, because if you're going to make friends or you're going to get anybody at all on your side or, you know, or have a chance in a relationship, you're going to have to take a chance of getting perked, you know?
yeah, and that's good that you did. I'm not near that point, you know.
Right.
I'm
Well, you
cool with
might get there one
I've had
day.
I've had enough abuse for my whole entire life that I'm good. Just, you know, I'm good. You
Right.
know, but I have been happy to see other TIs that have come together recently and take that chance, and they're, you know, happy, and that's great. I'm happy for anyone who could find happiness. Me myself, that's just, it's not on the table for me right now. I don't know who's a
Yeah.
honeypot. I'm not gonna chance it.
Right.
I got my
Right.
two
But
dogs
as you
who
get
unfortunately get
seasoned,
targeted.
as you get a seasoned, but see, I've been this for 9 years, so as you get seasoned, you start learning how to discern people's motives, discern, you know what I'm saying? Your gut will tell you, it takes
Mm-hmm.
practice though. For years, I wouldn't mess with nobody either, but
Yeah.
my situation, it was either I was planning on, I was in the hospital for 45 days, so I was planning on rolling my wheelchair in front of oncoming traffic and just ending it. And then, Holly reached out to me and I forgot exactly how it went. Anyway, we went back and forth. I accused her of being a perp. Then she sent burns, undeniable burns. And I was like, wow. So that my options were, because I'd given up. When I decided when I got out of the hospital, I have nothing to live for. Now I'm crippled.
Mm.
I'm fixing to roll my wheelchair in front of I was serious about that. And then, so I was faced with a decision, take a chance of being perked and getting set up or roll your wheelchair in front of the traffic. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Those are your choices.
Yeah, so I took the other choice because, 3 serious suicide attempts back in the past. Serious, not, I'm not crying out for help. I need help. I want attention. Serious attempts,
Yeah.
and I failed at all of them. So, I'm kind of scared to try it again because I
You said
failed.
just what I was gonna say. I've had 4 major attempts. I'm talking left in a coma for a week or so, and I've had to come to realize that when it is your time, it'll be your time. But don't try to unalive yourself because it ain't gonna. If it's not your time, it won't happen. I don't care how
Nope.
severe your attack. I don't care how badly you have tried to accomplish this mission. It will be null and void in God's eyes
Nope. I
if
had to
it's
learn that
not
the
your
hard way.
time. And I had to learn it the hard way too. And that's why I'm very, very outspoken on you sounds, I'm trying to word how to say this, but you kind of get the feeling like when your time is close, like when these people are just going to be done with you, because they can take us out at any time.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be very, very clear, which is another reason I'm very vocal out here, is that I would never unalive myself. I would
Me
never.
neither. I would
I
never
would
do that
never.
again.
I have my family who have to unfortunately watch me go through this, and they're uncertain, the ones that are, not on board with the targeting. But I have to remind them always, however it may look when I'm found, it's not that way. I will never, ever do something like that to myself.
And I encourage any target, uh, any real target, do that as well. Make sure your family, friends know you would never commit
Yep,
suicide. You
never.
know, yeah, that's very important, to
Yep.
let people know because the little setups they do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They have, there's been times, and especially when you're on your weakest day, because definitely I've accepted that I'm a target, and but again, I'm human, and there are days that, I get home from town and it sucks to be walking around and you hear people laughing at you and talking like I had one lady who was there with her small kids, and this was back when I lost my hair. I used to wear wigs, and the little kid was saying, "Look, Mama, we should wear wigs and play wig day." And it wasn't nowhere near Halloween or anything like that, but just to let me know that they know that I'm wearing a wig, and to laugh about it. Or they'll walk past me and say my animals' names. Look, my dogs' names are Gypsy and Honey, and without them, they're what keep me right in my, they know when I'm not doing good. And unfortunately, my dogs get targeted. Some people probably don't believe that, but they do. My dogs will
Yeah.
start acting just wacko out of nowhere sometimes. But they just do things to hurt you to your core. So I come home and I'm like just on the floor sobbing, feel, pity party day, and all of a sudden I can hear them, just get your gun, just get your gun. And they'll try to push you to do
Yep.
things out of your character because you're so broken in that moment. And then that's where I have to find my inner strength again, take a deep breath, do what I do to heal myself, and just get through another day. But I would not be lying if I didn't say, yeah, I have pity party days where I stay in bed a week or however long, just because there's days you can't go on and you just got to sleep
Oh yeah,
through
I
it.
go 3 or 4 days, I get a lot of messages and stuff. I go 3 or 4 days, I won't even feel like answering messages. I won't
Yeah.
answer them. I just lay here, you know, and just be lethargic, I guess, a lot of times.
Yeah.
But
And those are the
I'm
days.
trying to
Do you
adjust.
hear the voice the most then?
Hmm.
Do they like attack you mental, the V2K at that, trying to get you to do things like, oh, you're just off, just do it already.
Yeah,
You
they
don't
try
stand a
to. They've done
chance.
it. Yeah, every now and then they'll throw it in there. They like to do that when I'm really really stressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Intimidate me. Yeah.
Yeah. Or what they'll do to me, like I'm carrying in all my groceries, from trying to come up, and they'll do their attacks where my arm will be like spasming. So I drop my stuff, like they'll cause cramping in my toes where when I'm walking, it'll cause me to kind of,
Oh yeah,
my
they do that
ankle
to Holly's
twist.
legs, and I'll have to sit there and have to hold it straight and massage it and stretch it.
I just had someone tell me they put little magnets in their shoe, and that it helps, I guess, reverse the attacks. It'll stop them. And so I don't know how if Holly's tried something like that, but magnets kind of seem to work for me these days a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll try
And but
anything.
what we keep potassium and magnesium supplements, and vitamins, and try to stay hydrated because these weapons will cause vitamin deficiencies, which cause the cramps and stuff.
Another thing that they've done to me, and I mean, it's embarrassing what they do to our bodies. There's no, it's disgusting, it's embarrassing, but I believe they've inflicted a like a body parasite, and I've had to use like dewormer tinctures. Um, my I wish I could show what happens to my hair. I have like some weird wiring. To me, it feels like wiring. I
Morgellons?
don't know. Yeah, yes, yes. I just found that word out not even a few weeks ago,
Yeah, I
and
think I
that's what
got
I
a
got going
video
along.
about it. And look out for Charlie's got a video that supposedly has the cure for it.
Yeah,
His
you
name,
can feel quiggling, like wiggling or squiggling
yeah.
or something along your hairline, and that's what I'm dealing with. And I
Wow.
do parasite cleanses, get this collagen peptide vitamin.
Yeah, we're real big
I've
on
done it
lion's
all.
mane
I do
mushroom,
everything I
turkey
can.
tail mushroom, uh, extracts, cordyceps mushroom extracts. We're real big on that kind of stuff. Tinctures, mushroom tinctures.
I've never tried that mushroom tinctures, but I might. Another thing that they do is they disgustingly keep flies. I just showed you guys before that we started that it's snowing here where I live, and I just had two flies come by me. Like it's 30 degrees outside. There's no reason flies should be in my home, but
Right.
they plant things in here that are out of my control. And the personal things they do to my body are, just awful. They can force they can force orgasms in your body. They can make your head just pulsate like it's going to explode. They do things to my, physical things to my breasts. It's like you can't you can't make this shit up.
Do you ever sweat profusely, like nonstop sweating, even when it's cool in the house?
Yeah, and I used to think it was hot flashes, because I am 52, had a full-blown hysterectomy, all that stopped years ago, and then now I'll just get like, and you can feel like, and I'll know you can feel it. You get like, I get spots on me, like red spots, and to the touch they'll be super super, they'll be hotter than the rest of my body.
Do they itch?
Only just my eye. The eye is always itching the most. I don't have as much itching as I do just heat. You could
Because
feel like
Holly gets burns the
flushes.
itch, and every now and then I get the same burns. It's basically laser burns, and it's a big red whelp that would show up, and it itches like crazy, and you'll itch your skin off, and it'll feel so good, like you're getting taking care of the itch. Then later on, you realize you got a big scab there where you drew blood.
Yeah, I don't get the itching, only on my, but it's not really itching. It's the squiggly feeling I get on my head, that's irritating because I'm constantly, trying to make
Do
that
you ever
stop.
experience vibrations or shocks to the back of the brain? That's what I
Yeah,
experience with mine. Yeah.
yes, I get a lot. The most attacks I get are to my head. The most body, physical attacks I get are to my head, the ringing in the ear, um, the squiggling going on around my hair. I mean, I could literally pull out these white, like, hairs that I have, and another one will pop out right in front of your face. Like
Wow.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But and then I just get constant the the hot flashes, the flush that'll just go up my face of just heat. And then my eyes water, my hair starts wiggling around again, and it's pretty bad.
I got a couple more questions and we'll be done. So you've described most of your targeting. Well, nobody can describe all of it. Everybody, even me, when I get in interviews, I'm like, man, I missed that. Well, I'm saying, how do you cope? What's your way of dealing with different stuff like V2K, weapons attacks, gang stalking? How do you make it day to day? Do you have any advice for anybody,
Well,
new targets?
the only good that has come out of this targeting is it brought me back to my faith. So without every day, I get up and I suit up in the armor of God. And then physically, what I've had to do is show you here, like I have these curtains and I line them with a Faraday material. I pretty
Okay.
much am I pretty much box myself in with Faraday material, um, copper, things that will physically minimize the attacks. It doesn't 100% stop them, but I unfortunately have to line myself up with a lot of materials just to go into town, and I have to train my own mind, um, faith over fear, faith over fear. I have to train myself every day to not let these people win the game. Knowing I'm the game, they can't win. I just I just stand strong in my faith, and like I said, luckily I have two wonderful comfort pets that sense it and stay by me. I go
And
for
that's
walks
another thing. If you're a
outside.
target and you're isolated and you're able to get a pet, I advise you get one because they're
Oh,
very
do it.
therapeutic.
Yeah. I didn't have it. My first 2 years living in my car on the road, I was alone. When I got Gypsy, it made a huge difference. I wasn't so alone, and I became, I had to take care of her now,
Holly can
but
probably relate to that. She was living in a car with her dog, wasn't you?
Yeah, I had a house, but I wouldn't stay in the house. I lived in my car with my dog and left my cats at the house. Unfortunately, they broke in my house and beat my cat to death, with the baseball bat. So I had to put her down. And that's why I don't, David recommends pets. I'm on the other hand, it's kind of dangerous when you leave your home and leave them there. They will break in and harm the animal. So that's why I
I
I'm
don't
so
leave my pets.
yeah.
They stay with me all the time. Well, unfortunately, I take that back. I do have to leave them sometimes in their kennel when it's 90 degrees outside. I can't leave them in the truck while I go into Walmart. But when I do, their little area is secure too. I try to protect them the best I can, because they're about the only two living animals in this world that would die for me. That I know they're not going to ever turn on
Right.
me. They
Exactly.
won't turn on me.
Right. And see, that's
Unfortunately,
crazy.
one of
Holly's
my favorite
situation.
sayings: dogs don't bite me, humans do.
Right.
Right. Right.
And that's the crazy thing. Holly had a whole house and was getting tortured so bad that she decided to sleep in her car with her dog
Yeah, I
to go
wanted
to that house.
yeah, I would rather
Did you get shadows and stuff on your wall and just like
well, they had drones following me everywhere I went, with hundreds of
uh,
people following me. Now, the
yep,
one thing that got rid of a lot of the gang stalking, the one thing that will get rid of it for people is what they're after is the reaction. They're after the raw emotion, the
yes,
reaction
yes,
of that.
yes.
And once you start ignoring it and you pretend like they're not there, completely pretend like they do not exist, it will all but stop. because
Yes,
that's
it will,
what they get paid to
but they
do.
will.
No, it
But
still
they
happens.
Oh,
will try
no.
to make you pay for it. They will try
Yeah,
to, they
I
will
mean, it
try
still
to,
happens, but it's not as prevalent as it was.
Yeah, because you're not
yes,
reacting.
Yeah.
they'll bump it up a little bit more to see if that'll do it. And then once you just show them that, you know what, you guys are, you're cowards, and you can send 100 red, white, and blue vehicles following me and honking at me all day. I don't care. I'll throw
Right.
them the peace symbol and drive right on by. Or I won't
Right.
even just react, period.
That's
Because I
awesome.
know they're there now that
Yeah.
I know they're there. But before I didn't, I was jumping out of my vehicle acting the fool. Not, not no
She
more.
sounds
You
like
know?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all survival. It's all
Oh,
survival and war in the target world.
before I ask, my last question is, do you think this ends, and how do you see it ending? And but before you answer that, is there anything else you'd like to say before we end this?
Just to any of the newer targets out there that feel you have to go to a doctor, just be very cautious. Really, I don't want to discourage someone from medical attention, but when it comes to medical attention, be cautious.
Yeah.
Um, and hang in there. This is real. You're not crazy.
And do you know, the last question was, do you think this ends? And if so, how?
I have to have hope because I'm hanging on by a thread, and that's what I hang on to, is the hope that justice will be served and that we will be compensated for this horrific government corruption. I can't say I believe it'll happen. I just have hopes that someday will prevail.
Yeah, I'm basically the same way. Well, I thank you for giving your story and coming out.
Thank
And
you.
if you would tell everybody your YouTube channel one more time.
I am TI Sunshine Off Grid.
Okay, and then I will if you will send me the link, if you could, in the email, I will post it in the description when I post the video.
Okay,
I
great,
try to do
great.
that because, help other targets out and get attention to their channels and stuff, because I feel like every target needs to have a channel. So
I agree. I agree. Whether you do anything, just to show that we are real.
right.
Who cares who's laughing at us out there? The bottom line is get the word out there that this is real, and us
Yeah,
as targets know it is. And if
right.
we all just keep coming together, eventually the government's gonna have to say, wow, there's too many of them that are standing their ground. So stand your ground.
I hope and pray that's the case,
That's all we can do is, and I'm happy that you guys have each other, and there's a few other targets coming together out there with, in relationships. Just try to live your life the best you can, and survive.
Yeah.
Just survive. Keep an
Amen.
unkillable spirit. Keep an unkillable spirit.
Yeah. Never take nothing for granted. That's the main thing,
Right. Thank you so much for getting my story out there too.
No, and
I
thank you. And I'm gonna end the recording, and